Thanks everyone for being here tonight. I'm Leanne West and I'm the president of the International Children's Advisory Network. And we are really lucky to have several youth here this evening from Wish Upon a Teen. I almost said Make-A-Wish. From Wish Upon a Teen. And we are so very excited to have them and let them tell us a little bit about some things that they've been going through, just so we can try to help kids in the future and other kids out there who might have some of the same issues or experiences. And so I'm going to start by asking each of them to say their name, age, and maybe where they are and what kind of diagnosis they have, and just tell you a little bit about their personal journey to date. And so I'm going to start with Megan.
Hey everyone, my name is Megan. I'm 21 years old. I'm in Rochester, Michigan right now, and I was diagnosed with a medulloblastoma. So some of my journey is that when I started off, I had symptoms for almost a year before I finally got a for sure diagnosis. I got my diagnosis when I was about 18, about to turn 19. So I did not fit the proper age group, I guess you could say, for my type of tumor. So they didn't think anything of it at first. When I did get my diagnosis, they just thought it was an ependymoma at first. So they didn't think it was cancer or anything. So they let me finish off my school year. I was a freshman in college at the time. And when they actually did the removal of my cancer, of my tumor, on May 9th of 2018, they realized that it was a lot different than what they thought it was. And about 2 weeks later, they had told me it was cancerous. And so from there, I kind of started my whole journey. I did 31 sessions of proton radiation, and then I did 2 sessions of photon radiation. And then I also did 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day of chemotherapy. Funny story, I had 3 ports, 4 different surgeries because I kept having issues with them and they kept flipping. I also ended up having to have a feeding tube put in because I was losing too much weight and I wasn't really getting in the nutrients from anything that I was eating. I am now a little bit more than 1 year cancer-free. I got my all clear on August 2nd, 2019, so 2020 would have been my 1 year. And now I am back at college. I go to Oakland University here in Rochester, Michigan. I'm a health science major with a minor in wellness and health promotion, and I hope to one day become a nurse.
Thanks so much for sharing that. And I'm so excited that you want to become a nurse. I love seeing all of you all, so many that want to continue on in healthcare. And I think that that's really great. Callie, maybe you can share your story.
Okay, so my name is Callie Orlandoni. I am 24, and when I was 9 in 2006, I was diagnosed with having a brain tumor, and I traveled to Boston. I did radiation and we were on watch for the tumor. When I was 15, I started having seizures, and we found out that the tumor had actually grown back. And so I again did radiation. On June 26th of 2013, I had brain surgery that saved my life. The blood was pooling and the tumor was blocking some of the area. And so I was a high-risk stroke patient. And so they took that out. I have gone through a lot of PT and OT since then. I was wheelchair bound all of my senior year of high school, and now am currently in treatment again for different conditions, some of which have been caused by the radiation that I received. And yeah, I have a feeding tube. I'm completely tube fed. I have a port still. I go to U of M weekly and get my treatments and everything through there. And I am actually going to be a social worker. I really hope that with everything I've gone through, I can help people. And even if I just help one person, I hope that by sharing my story, I can help other kids. So that's about it.
That's awesome. I love that you're thinking about social work. Really fantastic. And of course, we're definitely hoping that all the treatments you're still going through are going to work out for you.
Thank you.
How about you?
I'm sorry, me? Okay. Well, I'm Tommy Shoemaker. I'm 19 and I'm from Rochester Hills, Michigan. My story kind of starts like just all the way back to when I was born. I was born with a hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which just kind of meant the left side of my heart didn't work correctly. And so I'd have 5 open heart surgeries by the time I was 5. And at that point, the doctors just said, hopefully you'll be okay, but, we'll keep an eye on you. And if it doesn't work out, you need a heart transplant. So I was able to live pretty well for about 2 years. And then I started to go into heart failure again, and I was put on the transplant list. And then I waited on the transplant list for about a year. And on June 3rd of 2009, I thankfully received my heart transplant. And so then after that, I went on for about 10 years, just living, normal life, just happy to be living it. And then in about June of last year in 2019, I started just getting these really weird headaches, and I didn't think much of them. But then, as the weeks went on, they started to get worse, and I was rushed to the ER, and they kind of couldn't really figure out what was wrong with me for a couple days, but they ended up concluding that it was PTLD, which is a post-transplant type of leukemia. And so yeah, I had to go into 6 months and 7 rounds of intense chemotherapy treatment. And so I did that from July all the way up until December. And then right on New Year's Eve of 2019, they delivered me the news that I was cancer-free. And so I've been cancer-free for about almost 11 months now. So yeah, that's my story.
That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Olivia, how about you? You want to share your story?
Sure. I'm Olivia. I'm 26. I currently live in Plymouth right now. I was diagnosed in 2012, my senior year of high school, with active lymphoma, stage 2. So, can you guys hear me?
It sounds a little garbled, but I didn't know if that was me.
Well, no, something just popped up and said my speaker is not working correctly. Well, can everyone else hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. Well, we'll see. So I was diagnosed in 2012. I went through 4 rounds of outpatient chemotherapy, which was pretty nice. Started going back to school. I wanted to go to school to be a nurse. And then I was 3 weeks in at Eastern Michigan, and I was 20 at this point. So it had been 2 years. I was in remission for 2 years, and I started having really bad back pain, really, really bad back pain. And it took like 4 months to diagnose it with the scans and biopsies and everything. But then my cancer had relapsed to stage 4. So I had to have a stem cell transplant, and leading up to that was really, really hard chemotherapy, months in the hospital, but we got through it, and now I'm 6 years cancer-free. So, and I'm a nurse on the floor that I was treated on, and I actually treated Tommy.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
I know, I can't believe it's been 11 months already.
I know, it's crazy.
Oh.
I didn't even realize that at first. That it was you. I was like, what? That's funny.
That's really fantastic. I love that. So you're already helping the next kids who come along. That's amazing.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you everyone for sharing. And what I want to do now is maybe just ask if you have any kind of words of wisdom or tips or insight for other kids going through maybe what you went through or something similar. We'll start with Megan.
There's a few things that I actually did while I was going through treatment, and what I lived by going through treatment. So the first thing is that easy board games are your friend in chemotherapy. Stuff that does not take a lot for you to think of. I played a lot of Slam Witch. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that game, but it's really silly. It's meant for like little kids, but I could tolerate it during chemo, and I could actually figure out what was going on. One of the things that I actually really lived by was the quote, "Even on the cloudiest days, the sun will always rise." Because even though everything in front of you seems really dark and that you're kind of stuck in a rut and you are at the bottom of a low hill, you will always be able to get over it. And that even though it feels so dark outside, there's still sun behind those clouds. There's still going to be a positive at the end of all of this, or in the middle, or whenever you see a positive. For me, it was every Tuesday and Thursday that therapy dogs came in during my inpatient at Beaumont. But it's honestly, you're gonna get through this, and no matter what, there will be a brighter end to this.
Thank you. And I also love the therapy dogs. They are fantastic. Callie, how about you?
So I would say that when you're given a prognosis of brain cancer, sometimes the prognosis is kind of grim, but I think that having hope is really important because this can help you just get through it. I mean, I was told that I could be wheelchair bound for life, and that I might never graduate college, that I might never be able to do these things because we didn't know how long, you know, if I would be able to get through all of the treatment. And I just think that even if things don't happen on your own timing, they will happen if you continue to have hope and push for them. I think that having goals when you are going through everything can really just make you work for it and make you want to do it that much more. You know, when you're told things like you might not, whatever, you know, it is, sometimes it's really hard to be overwhelmed by that. And just by being able to wake up and enjoy the sunshine or see the therapy dogs or, you know, watch a funny video with your family while you're getting treatment, it's really the little things that matter, and just focusing on those things will help you get through it. And you will get through it. Even like Megan said, you got to keep pushing for it.
Thank you. That's great. All right, Tommy, how about you?
Well, there were a couple things for me as well that just kind of kept me going during my my time with cancer treatment, just going through the hospital stuff. One thing was just, you know, just always have a positive distraction, just whatever it may be, you know, whether it's, you know, messing around with your family or playing a video game or a board game, or it doesn't, you know, just whatever it is, just kind of to get your mind in a happier place and just, you know, yeah, just a happier place and get your mind off all the trouble and crap you're going through. The other thing for me that I just kind of started to realize as I was going through it was, you know, just a big thing that stressed me out was just, it seemed like the light at the end of the tunnel was so far. And I mean, even for me, I was in there so much shorter than everybody else, but it still just seemed so far. So, I mean, if it was that far for me, I can't imagine how far it was for everyone else. But just what kept me going was just not focusing on the long term and how much longer I have left, but just, you know, just getting through it, just taking it a day at a time, what I got to do to get through today, what I can do to make today great, and just, you know, not make it, you know, not regret it being a bad day, just making it a good day, and, you know, just moving on to the next, and just, you know, having that kind of philosophy, just, you know, every day, just take it a day at a time. That's just what I kept telling myself, a day at a time, a day at a time. And one other thing personally for me was just my faith kept me through it. Just knowing that, you know, it's all part of God's plan and purpose for my life. And it seems so clueless and just so confusing now of how can this help me? How will this benefit me? But, you know, just, you know, doing devotions to my mom, praying about it, reading the Bible about it, and just, you know, it's all going to work out, and it's not only going to work out, but it's going to work out in my benefit. So just those kind of things really had a huge effect and really helped me keep going through my time.
Great, thank you. It's always good to have something to lean back on, and family too. Olivia, how about you?
Tommy kind of took the words right out of my mouth with the day by day thing. I think what got me down the most was knowing that I had, you know, X amount of time still in the hospital doing treatments. And I think the best thing to do is to wake up and say, if I can do this today, you know, set a goal for yourself, even if it's 3 laps around the floor, or I want to drink this many amounts of, you know, cups of water, or just little things like that, just to get you through the day and to say, like, I did my goal. I need it. And also, I think the biggest thing that is missed with teens and adolescents with cancer is the mental aspect of it. I don't think, I think there needs to be more focus on how it affects you mentally. And, you know, we have psychiatry that would come and see us and everything like that. But I think it's really important to keep that communication open with at least someone, whether it's your mom or your brother or your sister, just to kind of say, like, I'm feeling like this today, and to just have someone to confide in, because I think that the mental aspect of it can really take a toll on you, even after cancer treatments are done. I think that's a big thing. So my family, if it worked for my family, or my husband, I wouldn't have gotten through it. But I think that's a big thing. So just take it day by day and know that the end is near, and there's hope, and it'll all be good.
Thank you. I think that's great too. All right. So what about, do you have any words of advice for maybe doctors or nurses or somebody else who's working with you while you're going through everything? Is there anything that you want them to know? And then I'll also say, if there's anyone you want to give a shout out to who, you know, went above and beyond that you really just thought was a kind of a light during the whole process, please feel free to share their name. So Megan, go ahead.
All right. I got lucky with all of my doctors. I'm sure everyone else did too. But they were just so helpful. I would not be back at college right now, or at least not here at OU, if it wasn't for Janice, who is our educational liaison. So shout out to her. I'm probably going to shout out the whole Beaumont's, all of their pediatric oncology center. I'm sorry. But without them, like, I wouldn't have I wouldn't have been back here. Shout out to my nurses there. They actually are what encouraged me to become a nurse, was them. They completely made it so I felt safe. And even though I had a lot of issues, one of the first times that I had an experience with them is my port flipped, and they're all standing over me trying to flip my port back by hand. And I just felt like I was surrounded by people who actually cared, that they wanted to prevent me from having another surgery, that they wanted to help me the best that they could. Shout out to my doctor, my actual oncologist, amazing. I don't see her as much anymore because, you know, I've kind of gone past my time of being actually one of the kids who needs to see, like, their doctor or their nurse practitioner, and I have more time in between when I have to get scans and stuff. But having her listen to me and having her talk to me just changed my complete outlook. I've never been so positive than when I was actually going through treatment, or like when I was seeing them, because it was just a completely different atmosphere. And being surrounded by Holly, who is our music therapist, and Rose, who was like our child life specialist, like being surrounded by all those people made you feel so good, because they wanted to talk to you and they wanted to have conversations. And obviously I was a little bit older than most people who actually went to pediatric oncology, so I actually got to have those talks with people. And I went to school, I was going to college while I was going through treatment, and having the support of all these people and the respect from these people just made it such a good experience. I mean, obviously it wasn't a great one, but it's pretty darn good for what it could have been.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Callie, how about you?
So I want to shout out both my neurosurgeon and my palliative care doctors, Dr. Chiasley and Dr. Shargat. I also think, kind of like what Megan says, when I go for my treatments weekly, just the nurses are so nice and they really do care. And I feel like they've been part of my journey, and they aren't just another person who kind of surface level, like asks you how you are. Like, they actually really want to know. And it's such a different experience than, you know, sometimes like at the beginning, I think kind of like most, like it took a while for me to be diagnosed. And, you know, sometimes people were like, oh, well, maybe like she's being more dramatic and the headaches aren't, you know. And so I feel like having both of my family advocate for me as well as myself really helped me to get the treatment that I needed. And I also want to say palliative care has really changed our whole treatment plan. And I think that a lot of people think of palliative care and hospice kind of hand in hand, but in my experience, palliative care has made me be able to stay home more and get the medicines and the IV treatments that I need at home, which is awesome. And I just think that it needs to be utilized more than maybe it is.
That's great. Thank you. Tommy, how about you?
Well, first of all, I want to give an entire shout out to the entire floor at 7 West at Mott Children's. You know, Dr. Rawling, Dr. Blaze, Nur, Olivia, Ashley, just all of them, the nurses, the doctors, every single one of them. I mean, my advice would be to just, honestly, just be like they are, because they were I mean, it was obviously one of the toughest situations I could have been through, and anyone could have been through, but I mean, they just made it so survivable, and more than survivable, just so comforting. It was amazing. You know, just like the doctors at the head of the oncology unit, they would, you know, do things to try and help me get home a little earlier, or get me out of the hospital for a day, or just all these kind of things they'd work around to just, you know, make me feel better. And, you know, because they knew, you know, they know that these patients don't like being in the hospital. So, you know, just making sure that they can get them out a little bit, just, it goes a long way. Those little things of, you know, even if it's just getting me to get out of the hospital and go across the street for 2 hours, it makes my day and probably my week. So that was amazing. And just the nurses who, you know, for patients like me, ask me the questions of, you know, how are you, or just have casual conversation. That goes a long way too, you know, just knowing that, you know, there's other people to talk to. When, you know, I was just upset that all my friends had gone off to college and no one was really here to hang out with me. So when they would kind of just hang out in my room with me for a little bit and just talk, whether it was casual and funny conversation or just, you know, deep stuff about what I was going through, it was always very helpful, and it meant a lot to me. Yeah, just all the help that they did. Nur, she's one of a kind. I want to give another shout out to her. She was amazing through everything she did. You know, just joking with me all the time, and, you know, just helping me, you know, feel comfortable when I had to do, I'm blanking on the name of them now, but there were these procedures that they had to go into my back with a lumbar puncture. That's what it is. And she would just, you know, she'd play music in the background and she'd sing along with me, and just all these little things that were just funny and joking around. They really, you know, had a huge impact on me and made my whole experience, you know, I remember a lot of because of all those little things, I remember more of the little things than I remember all the bad things that went on. So just, you know, doing all those little funny, helpful things go a long way.
Really good. Really good. All right, Olivia, what about you?
I think the nurses and doctors that made a huge difference in my life were those that treated me like a person and not a patient sick in the bed, and treated me as a whole, like as a person, that I had a story, that I was a dancer, I had siblings, I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and, you know, I have a mom, I have a dad, I have a life outside of this bed that you see me in. And I think now being a nurse, it's so easy to get lost and think, okay, this is my day-to-day job, but you have to remember this is someone's worst day of their entire life. This is just a normal day at work for me, but for them, this could be the worst moment they got possibly, experience. And I think for nurses and doctors to recognize that every day walking in saying, this is my job, but these people are going through awful, awful things that they never could imagine, especially with pediatrics, if they're babies, So I think that's really, really important. And I want to give a shout out to my mom, who during my stem cell transplant, I had my sheets washed, my blankets washed every single day, and I was too much of a baby to use the hospital sheets. So she went to Target and bought me a bunch of sheets, and she went home every single day and washed my sheets for me and brought them back and washed. I'm 26. I still sleep with a blanket. She washed my blanket like every day. She was such a trooper. She brought me whatever I wanted for food. Half the time would get to me and I was not just eat it. But she still went out and got it for me. But and just like my family, my husband Connor, I can't thank my family enough. And then of course my doctors and nurses. More not my coworkers. A lot of my nurses trained me, so that it's such a cool experience, and I'm so thankful to be where I am today. So thank you, everyone.
I love that. And I'm glad that you're a nurse now and kind of can be on that other side and help the next kids who come along. So maybe one more question. Is there anything else that you want to add to what you said? Maybe somebody, made you think about something that you want to share, or any other comments? Feel free to share them now. If you have one, you can just turn off your mic and answer if you have something else you want to add.
I just want to thank everybody who makes it feel like you're not going through treatment. Like all the small organizations, kind of like Tommy was saying, like the people who really go out of your way or out of their way to make you feel comfortable, because it is really hard. And just having those people who really care about you is so nice. And even if you just are able to forget about treatment for an hour, it's, that's the best part of your week. So I just think that it's great that, Wish Upon a Teen and Make-A-Wish and all of these organizations, they really do help.
That's great. Anyone else want to add anything?
I just want to give a quick shout out. Olivia just kind of reminded me to my family as well, my mom especially. My mom and I have been really close just my whole life, just because, we went through the first stint of the heart transplant stuff. But, just over those past 6 months, she was with me, 90% of the time in the hospital. And, she had a Ronald McDonald room across the street. And I'd always tell her, Mom, just go, go sleep there. And she would almost never leave me. I could never get her to leave. And some nights that was annoying, but it was definitely needed. And, she's she's the strongest person I know. I'm so blessed to have her as my mom. She means the world to me. And she's, I don't think I would have gotten through that treatment if she wasn't sitting there bedside with me the entire time. And I can never repay that debt to her. I'll forever be thankful to her for that, because it was just, it made everything so much more survivable and just better.
Megan?
They all kind of pretty much almost put in words what I want to say. I do want to thank my family so much, because honestly, we did not have a Ronald McDonald house near Beaumont or whatever. It was at the same time, it was closer for my mom just to drive home. And I feel the same way, fighting with her all the time to go home and not sleep on a pull-out couch or a lounging chair, and to just tell her, like, you need to sleep in a real bed. I'm so thankful for that now. And I'm really thankful for my dad too. He would work from the hospital room, so I wouldn't have to sit in a room by myself all day, and he would work from there. And every once in a while when I'd wake up, he'd show me a funny video or something, and it just made inpatient so much easier to do. And I'm also very thankful for Wish Upon a Teen when they came in and decorated my room for the last like treatment. I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up. And then I'm also very thankful for Maggie's Wigs for Kids. They actually gave me a wig when I first lost my hair. I did not think it was a huge deal at first, but then when it was time to cut my hair, I was very, very emotional. When I was losing my hair, I was destroyed about it. It was really upsetting, and they gave me a wig, even though technically I wasn't really a child anymore. And I went to donate my hair, and they actually turned my hair into a wig. So I was very thankful for that. And they also gave me a safe place to volunteer while I was going through treatment, because I felt like I didn't deserve it. And so they were able to make it safe for me to volunteer in their centers to actually get some time in, so I feel like I worked off what I really, like I would actually earn it, and I'm very thankful for that. They also provided therapy to me every week, and talking with them and having someone come in and all the special events and stuff that they had. I'm so thankful for that as well.
That's great. I love hearing all of that. So I just want to thank you all so much for sharing your stories with us today. I really do think that your words of wisdom are going to resonate with kids as they go through something. And I also hope that doctors and parents hear all the wonderful things that you said about them and what made your stay a little bit more bearable. So thank you all so much for joining me today.